got tweakers will play on some grass or dirt, but turn down the volume on Dick and Bird. Fuck Dick and Bird! Fuck Dick and Bird! St. Paul admitting the law and life, and hitting rock bottom, drugs in the ex-wife. Fuck Dick and Bird! Fuck Dick and Bird! Fuck Dick and Bird! Fuck Dick and Bird! Fuck off! Shit.
Hello all, and welcome to this edition of Minnesota Foul Play-by-Play. I'm your host, Anthony Variano, joined by the brothers Haas, Bradley and Michael. How's everybody doing?
Can't complain.
Really like that
great.
Cuba shirt, Mike. That Cuba jersey's hot.
Getting ready for the World Baseball Classic.
You're looking like a Hunter S. Thompson. Are you smoking through a filter now?
It's one of those, that
Tar
polio
filter.
president we had.
Tar guards. I used to buy those in bulk back when I thought I wanted to be Hunter S. Thompson. All right, let's get started. We're going to start with what we think is the best team in Minnesota, the Minnesota Vikings. Still lucky, but also good. They're an underdog again this week against the Packers. They're at Green Bay. 3.5 points was the spread last time I saw. Anybody have an update on that?
It's still at 3.5.
Okay. I'm questioning whether or not this team is the best team in Minnesota simply because they might only be like the fourth best team in the NFC and maybe the sixth best overall. Like, I don't think that they have Super Bowl aspirations. I think it would be actually quite shocking if they even made the NFC Championship game. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
My thing about them is, are they resilient, or are they just like really that good? I mean, are they lucky?
Yeah, they definitely don't lose their cool when they get behind. So,
which I think that speaks a lot for it. Obviously, if they lose these one possession games, we're looking at a team right now that's 1-11, 1-13, whatever it is.
Yeah,
I mean, so the defense makes the plays when they need to. I don't know if some of it's luck, but I mean, that's the thing. They don't cry about shit. They just stick in it. And then all of a sudden they come out victorious with some amazing shit.
I think that Patrick Peterson has a lot to do with that defense making those plays late because, he's kind of a leader in that clubhouse, and he kind of preaches the keep cool, keep calm. This thing ain't over yet. We're going to get some stops. They're not going to score on us every time they get the ball type of deal. So I think they Oh, go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
Yeah, to piggyback off that too, like, when is the last Vikings team we've seen that's had this much chemistry?
Oh,
that's what I like. Like
the 97 team, maybe?
God, they have so much fun playing. After the game is hilarious.
Right. I've never seen a Vikings team have more fun. Yeah.
And for their awesome players to have Cousins back, which I think I love. I'm a Cousins supporter, but I think it's just a special team, and everybody that calls them frauds, every team in the NFL except one is going to be a fraud by the end of the year. So my thing is, who knows what's going to happen in the playoffs? This team shows that all they play is freaking one possession games.
But that's all that's played in the NFL. It doesn't matter who it's just probably 28 teams or so are pretty competitive. And, you're not going to blow out anybody on any given week. So, and home field advantage plays a role too with the weather changing.
The thing is,
they rank? Oh, go ahead.
Is O'Donnell keeping some stuff in his back pocket for the playoffs? I mean, we've talked about this before. Their 3 losses were not good.
No. If they get behind a good team, they're probably gonna get blown out. Yeah, that's their problem. Is they don't start well. They do maybe a good first drive, and then they'll go, the rest of the first half, maybe a couple field goals, and then fourth quarter starts and Kirk Cousins turns into the MVP of the league.
Yeah. So if they hang around till you get to MVP fourth quarter Kirk Cousins, I mean, they've got a shot.
Nobody want to see him in the playoffs, I don't think.
Well, and I think our offense now is, we've got too many playmakers, like legit playmakers with that Hawkinson trade.
Yep.
Osborne, talk about performing this year. I mean,
Stepped
you
up.
can't. We haven't even really used Thielen this year, which
Right.
we don't really need to.
Yeah.
But no, I think they're a scary, good team. The luck thing, I'd call it luck, but every goddamn game they come out on top. So at what point is it more than luck? Is my thing.
Oh yeah, no, they're a good football team. They're a bad defensive team, and they had a bad. I wanted to get into this. They had a bad defensive strategy for much of the year, where they were not sending blitzes and leaving those corners in coverage for way too long, and that's just a recipe for disaster.
Shit, my brother can attest to this. That's what we complain about every Vikings game. Is what the hell
send
is
four.
The defensive coordinator doing?
Yeah. And then in the second half of their last game, they finally cranked up the blitz packages. The ball got out faster, turnovers happened, tip balls, fun stuff.
I would like to look at the similarities to, is it the 2008 New York Giants team that was mediocre at best and then
ran through the playoffs on the road? Yeah.
Horrible defense too.
Their offense is clicking, their defense started to click. I mean, like Mike says, is it luck or is this destiny? I mean,
well, sometimes the hot team will get you to the Super Bowl and win it, but generally it's the team with the best offensive line, and that's Philadelphia. And I just don't see anybody beating them. Anywho, at least we got the most entertaining season ever. I think I've enjoyed this season more than I enjoyed the 1997 season, the Randy Moss season where they went 15-1 and lost the NFC Championship game.
No, as a fan, it's absolutely draining every single season. You're ready to throw in the towel. We've probably all lost years of our lives for it. But it's so freaking exciting. Like it's edgy.
Before we move on to the Wild, real quick thing this last week, get to the 2 minutes, game gets tied up again, and my brother's like in panic mode. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, what are you excited about, man? We're gonna go down, we're gonna win somehow. There's plenty of time left. Like it's to be expected now.
Yeah, well, the Wild are surprisingly good considering they lost a borderline superstar in Kevin Fiala. I mean, they're 4.5 points off their pace from last year without Fiala and Talbot. And the players who replaced him, Sam Steele replaced Fiala on the top line. And then Philip Gustafson has been better than Talbot and Fleury. And that's surprising to me. I didn't see that coming. So I think the Wild have the brightest future of all the teams in Minnesota because they have the best player on the ice on a regular basis against most of the teams in the league. I am a little worried about their defense, though. It's aging. I think the average age is like 29.4. A lot of guys in their 30s. But what are your guys' thoughts? I've been watching just about every Wild game this season, and they're just as much fun to watch as they were last year.
No, I agree. They're very fun, and I think come playoff time, they're going to be a scary team. I mean, I think they have a shot. They are fun. They are very fun to watch. I would agree with you. I do think from first person on the roster, the last person on the roster, they definitely are the best team in Minnesota and probably have the most potential. Potential to host a trophy at the end of the year.
No, and I think they're comparable to the Vikes. I mean, their defense scares me a bit.
Yeah.
Old, like the Vikings defense. I mean, our biggest playmakers are after the prime of their career, you know, with Smith and Peterson. So,
but if you saw the last game, you saw Brodin go for a poke check on a goal that was scored on Gustafson, and the Wild just came right back and went up 2 and called it a day. Thanks for coming out, guys. They've got it going on. I feel like they could get just as hot as they were at the end of last year. The problem is, how are they going to perform in the playoffs? Generally, your strong defenses are going to, and your great goalies are going to carry you through the playoffs, and they don't have either of those unless Gustafson actually maintains this the rest of the season.
We've seen that in past years too with them heading into the playoffs, and it's shit. We go to a game and they don't even score a goal. I mean, that's just it. I 100% agree.
Well, that's the teams you play. Like you run into the Blues who just slow down the pace of the game and just, check you into the boards and keep the puck behind the red line all the time. You see it with the Florida Panthers all the time. They are typically a great regular season team. And then, they score all these goals and then they get into the playoffs and they can't find the net. So Let's hope that that's not the case. The power play has improved though too for the Wild. So that was a big thing last year that they struggled with, that I think that they've corrected too. So that's good to see. And God, these kids we have are fantastic. It's amazing that our depth is so good considering how young all these kids are.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we're moving.
I find it too how they are so resilient. You know, kind of like the Vikings. It's like, oh, you scored a goal, we're gonna come back, we'll get another one too.
Well, you remember them last year; they'd go down 3 goals and they'd have it tied up by in the third period.
I've noticed that across hockey though a lot this year.
It's scoring is up overall. Yeah.
I mean, gosh, what game was it? Was it last night or the night before? I think the Penguins were up 4-0 and ended up losing the game in regulation. I mean, it's crazy.
They're juicing the pucks.
Juicing the pucks.
Got them in the humidor.
Gonna have to get out there to a game though. As you can see, I'm sporting this beauty I got from the Minnesota Whitecaps, the ladies team. These are the
awesome.
ugly sweaters they wore. Oh God, I saw them playing them, and I was like, I gotta buy one of those. I think it was only $70 too, so that was a score. They're playing in Richfield now. They're only a couple blocks away from Frenchman's. So if you guys come out, we should go.
See, now that's the bullcrap thing. If you buy that in the men's, it's probably going to be $120.
No, it's universal sizes.
I was trying to give the women some props here.
Yeah.
They need these better deals.
That's weird because my sister, she bought me a Las Vegas Aces jersey after they won the championship last year, and she was like, they're all women's sizes, and I was like, yeah, but I wear a large, and I mean, which certainly wouldn't be a large women's, but I don't know, it fits. That's all that matters. Okay, moving on to the teams that aren't so good in the state of Minnesota. We talked a lot about the Twins and their lack of offseason moves in the last episode of Fuck, Dick, and Bert, which you can find on our YouTube channel, Minnesota Foul Play-by-Play, also at foulplaybyplay.com. So the Carlos Correa sweepstakes apparently isn't over. Is that still true? At least it was the last I checked.
As of 5 minutes ago,
he hasn't signed a contract.
Hasn't signed a contract.
So
yeah, the odds I read were 55-45, something like that.
That 45 that the Twins would actually get him.
No, this
or
was
that he would sign with the Mets.
Okay.
55%.
Boy, I mean, he's lost a lot of money over this. It seems like it's from what I read, an ankle injury that he sustained a while ago that they're really worried about long term. And is that something like they were Steph Curry's first contract in the NBA where they were worried about his ankles, and so he didn't get a bunch of money, but certainly overcame that little issue.
Regarding the ankle thing I just read before I hopped on, apparently he's got post-traumatic arthritis from that ankle surgery he had way back. So I think that's what's concerning the teams, because there's a lot of different ways this could go over the next 10 to 12 years.
Right.
One of them could be another surgery to clean shit out. I mean, but from what the doctors are saying, there's definitely going to be some kind of cartilage degeneration later on in his career. So I think that's what's causing the concern. But the way the teams are structuring these deals, it's just to keep them under the tax anyway. You're going to lose money on the tail end, but
well, unless you're the Mets, they don't give a shit about the luxury tax at all.
No, and why the fuck should they? I mean,
I wish there were more owners like Cohen in the league. Because this is the only one without a salary cap where guys can treat these things as toys. And
I find it highly suspect that the league, and when I say the league, the Yankees and the Dodgers are two of the biggest complainers. And it's just like, give me a fucking break.
We've been complaining about you guys forever.
So no, I still don't think I mean, none of us really thought.
We don't want him. I mean, if that's the case, we don't want him, especially if there's an ankle issue down the road.
I'd take him for the same deal that we offered him before, the 3 years.
A lot of money for 1 year, opt out whenever you want.
He's not gonna take
He did that last year to get to this year in order to.
That's what I'm saying. With this stuff coming out now, though, he's kind of screwed himself. You know, he might have to do stuff like this. Maybe guarantee him 2 years and he can walk after 2 years. You know,
I think he ends up dropping down to 10 years, 300 million. I think a team will still. I think that's weighing the risk and reward with him. The Twins won't be the team that gets him, but
no, absolutely not.
And we've been on differing sides of this fence. I don't think the Twins need necessarily position players. I think we need a freaking ace.
Absolutely.
And
we've been needing one for since Johan Santana, basically.
And their offseason moves have been a question mark at best.
Yeah, like what's the guy's name? Kyle Farmer, a Jamie Carroll motherfucker. God damn.
He's a decent ball player, but
so is Jamie Carroll.
No, I understand that. It seems to me the only reason they made that trade was he's half the price of Urshela.
Yeah,
but you're not. What the fuck is the point of saving money when you're going to dole it out for a 30? No problem with the catcher signing, but him and Gallo, really? We're saving money to spend on these?
It's like the early 2000s all over again. Yeah,
I think the Gallo move was. Now I think they're going to get serious about moving Kepler, in my opinion.
Oh, they have to.
No, I get it. I understand that, but who bats for in this lineup? Even when Buxton's healthy, like I don't. I just,
Gallo probably does. He'd probably strike out 215 times or so, maybe more. No, probably more if he's healthy. Yeah.
I just don't understand. Like as the offseason has moved on, I don't understand the Urshela trade.
Buxton will be our cleanup hitter.
Actually, Farmer, you want to know how good he is?
Right.
We had to give up our 27th ranked prospect. So that's how good he is. A pitching prospect who's 25. That shows you the level of a player Kyle Farmer is.
25 is pretty old to be called a prospect still. So who are we targeting with Max Kepler as potential bait, and who else are we including with Max Kepler?
I will keep this brief, and then Brad and you can talk about it. If we're going to trade Kepler, which we've got too many left-handed outfield bats now, if we trade Kepler, it has to be for prospects. It's nothing that's going to help us now just to try to rejuvenate the farm. That would be.
Well, I'm thinking let's get a top end starter if we can. Let's
we're not
create a package for somebody that can actually win a playoff game.
We're not going to get a front end starter for Kepler.
No, that's what I'm asking is who do we include with Kepler in order to get something like that?
Royce Lewis.
You can't move Lewis, not on an injury
Brooks
season.
Lee. I mean, we have to trade people I don't want us to trade.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that you don't want to trade, though. That's the problem.
No, but that's my problem with this front office is buy Carlos Rodon then. We don't trade the future. We bought, and we have plenty of money to spend.
He can win a playoff game. He would be the best pitcher on our roster as soon as he was signed, would he not? I mean, Maeda is going to be out until what, June? And then let's see, Maley, I don't even know if he's healthy.
He'll be healthy. He'll be healthy by the start of the year, but I think that's who they're hoping is going to be our turn into a frontline ace.
Yeah.
But then again, with that, this is his last year of arbitration. He had an injury last year. If you truly believe he's going to be our ace going forward, then we got to lock him up now.
Right. As
opposed to letting him have a great first half of the year, and then he'll make too much money for the Twins to keep him around.
Yeah.
I just don't understand what this front office does towards pitching. I love the trades for Molly, for Joe Ryan, even for Sonny Gray.
Yeah, that turned out pretty good.
But then what do we do?
Those are all 2 through 5 type of rotation starters. None of them I would consider. Like Maley was the guy I wanted. I was wrong about this. Castillo is the guy we all wanted for a long time. And then I was like, wow, Maley's like maybe better than Castillo. And if you look at his analytics, he was missing bats.
If you go back to your old Reds posts, I mean, he performed well 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
I mean, he was what was turning into their ace, and what we had to give up to get him. That's a potential ace. I mean,
do you guys have the numbers on what the pole hands make every single year from the Twins? I mean, are they
that
just
money's not released to the public?
Are they just happy with making the money that they make and they don't give a shit? Like, as long as they put a decent enough product on the field that people will go watch. I
don't even know that they care too much about that, because for a lot of years after Kirby Puckett, they certainly didn't put a product on the field that filled a stadium.
No, and they're not. From what I've read about the Polans, it's not like the owner of the Mets, where he's actually an avid baseball fan.
Right.
I don't think they give a shit about baseball. It's as much as we complain about the Twins, they make them a lot of money.
Yeah, they do run it as a business. Like it shows. It definitely shows.
To interrupt, do you guys know if there's an 8.5 point play in football?
8.5? What do you mean?
Because I need one from Florida State.
We'll get to your bets later, Brad. All right. Let's talk about the Wolves for a little bit. They've been bad with Karl-Anthony Towns and bad without Karl-Anthony Towns. Equally bad. 10-11 with, 6-7 without. They're just really bad at defending the perimeter. They allow the most 3-pointers per game with 14.2, which puts them out of position on rebounds, which they're 5th worst at defensive rebounding. And they have 3 of the worst defenders in the league. They're D'Angelo Russell, Austin Rivers, and Jalen Noel are all bottom 40 defenders. Now, we got to give Jalen Noel some slack because he's been pushed out to the perimeter pretty early in his career, and he's learning on the job right now. But D'Angelo Russell's been a bad defensive guard for all of his career. And he's the worst defensive player, or the 10th worst defensive player in the NBA. And it doesn't seem like his offensive skill set is a fit if Karl comes back this year. Right now, they kind of need him just to put points up. But when he comes back, we need a facilitating guard who can defend the perimeter. So should they tank? Which my answer, I'll tell you right now, is yes. I think they should. But I think they're already too far behind in the sweepstakes for Yemben Yaga. So I tried. That was, but you can still get something that maybe can defend the perimeter for next season and see if this 2 big man look is going to work.
Well, do you remember when they drafted Anthony Edwards? That was one of his biggest things, was his work ethic and also his defense, which he's actually turned it up. I mean, I don't have the stats in front of me, but he averages a couple steals a game, 2-3 steals. Like, it's crazy. I don't think Karl-Anthony Towns, like, I don't mind him, but like the splits too on Rudy Gobert are disgusting when he plays, as to opposed to when he doesn't play. We're almost better off without him on the floor. I mean, I wrote down his stats this year. He's averaging almost 14 points a game, 12 rebounds, and 1.3 blocks. To give up 4 first-round picks for this guy, I mean, this is Denver Broncos for Russell Wilson right now. And I don't know if it's the head coach. There's something not right going on.
They're playing a style no one else in the NBA is playing. And that's problematic because everybody else is, spread out, shoot the 3, as many 3s as you can. And they've got a bunch of guys on the floor who can't defend that, which is problematic. Unless you're really good offensively, like if you're the Brooklyn Nets and you can score 150 points a game, you don't have to worry about defending the perimeter so much. But
that's where what sucks is, we're wasting Anthony Edwards' talent.
That's all the state does, is waste the talent of great players.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I mean, what's new? He's great. He's the Kirill the Thrill Kaprizov of the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's the guy that he's the best player on the floor against just about anybody you play, until you get to the playoffs, I guess.
So what is it about the 3 franchises minus the Wild? Why don't they do stuff? Why do they
did? The Timberwolves did. They took a big chance with the Rudy Gobert trade, and they upset the market so much so that Kevin Durant couldn't be traded.
No, I would say with the non-hockey franchise, if you look at what the Vikes did, essentially pretty much the same team as last year, a couple additions that were important. You change the coach.
Yeah,
boom,
that was the
things get
biggest
better.
thing. Yep.
Twins, that's what I don't understand with the Twins is, okay, if we're going to roll into this season with what we had last year, and yes, I will agree that maybe if they're a little healthier, things will get better. I'm kind of over the Rocco thing. Like it's just not working out. Even though I like Rocco as a person, I love watching his press conferences. I just don't think he's a good fucking coach.
I like his first name. That's about it. And then I'm over the Falvine regime. I think they should have lost their job after last season. Thad and
no, I agree.
Derek.
And so to tie that into the Wolves, maybe talent's one thing. You gotta. That's why I do think coaching matters in all sports. Like you got to use that talent. So if
I don't want to sound like a dick though, I mean it's the charity case. You know, having the Saunders still on the staff and whatnot, back from when Flip, you know, had the good guys like KG and whatnot. I mean, so I don't know. Carl Anthony Towns is supposed to be a top 10 player.
Oh, he's not. No, you got to play defense to do that. You can't be a top 10 player unless you're a two-way player, and he's not. He'll never will be. His game will age gracefully, but he's never going to be the reason that you win a championship ever.
No, he'll find another team, but he'll win a championship.
Yeah, he could be the number 2 on a lot of teams and win a championship, sure. But yeah, he's a number 2 on this team. Anthony Edwards has eclipsed him as the best player on this team and showed it in the playoffs as well. And now I'm wondering, well, do we keep Rudy because we have so much invested and trade Carl if we have the opportunity? And what are you going to get back?
Fair enough.
For a guy who can't defend and just shoots threes, and now it's not even playing down in, you know, banging down under the basket.
Exactly.
I'm not going to pretend to know anything about basketball because I don't really follow basketball too well. But the two big man approach, I got a question. Why did we even do it? It didn't work for the fucking Lakers. Like,
I think that was I don't know. I think the new ownership group wanted to make a splash regardless of what it was. You know, sometimes you want press for the sake of having press. They were in the conversation for a while. And now they're not. Now they won't be for the rest of the year.
But I mean, that's my only question is basketball now, is it a game that you build around two big men, or is it something else? Obviously, it's something else.
It depends.
It's a perimeter game.
Is it Giannis? Is he one of the big men? Because he can bring up the ball. He can, you know, run the point. Yeah, he can defend every position on the floor.
Seems like the great teams from the last 10 years have been perimeter based teams. So
yeah,
why would you try to go against what the NBA has turned into?
They realized Karl Anthony Towns was not a post player. They wanted Carl to shoot more threes. Basically, is that the answer to your question is they wanted to push Carl out to the 3-point line to shoot more threes because he was a great 3-point shooter. And it hasn't worked because now he has to guard a 4 instead of a 5. And now he's got to switch on the perimeter with all the wings. And that's just a nightmare. And then you've got another slow-moving center in Rudy Gobert, who's basically a leg back and wait for him to drive the lane and put up a layup so I can block it type of defender. And none of it works. They get spread so thin. And all of their depth, too. And they've got great players. This is why I don't really miss the picks that we sent for Gobert, because they have so many great players who were playing for the Iowa Wild and who stepped in that I think are going to be really good. And that's why I think it's just sell time. Let's move on from this, because now we're going to wait until Carl comes back and then we're going to punt until next year and see, well, we didn't have a good enough sample size to determine if this is going to work or not. And I mean, you could just look at the rest of the league. Who else is doing it? Nobody. I don't think it's going to work. So we got about 6 minutes left. So let's get to our best bets for this weekend. We're going to keep a spreadsheet of all the results that'll be available at foulplaybyplay.com. Brad, why don't you start us off? You've been making the most sports bets amongst us, so tell us what your best bets are.
Go ahead. I got to run get my ticket
Okay.
real just so I can get this in the spreadsheet.
All right. Well, as a homer, I'm going with the Vikings to win, to cover, and taking the over on 48.5 points. I've been doing that pretty much all season, and the Vikings have been pretty good to me because they're underdogs all the time, it seems, just because they always seem to win by one score, never really blow anybody out. So yeah, that seems like a pretty reasonable outcome. 3.5 points is what they're getting. Defenses are not good in that Packers Vikings game, so there's going to be points even if the weather's bad in Green Bay. And then I also parlayed the Vikings money line and the over, as well as the Vikings to cover and the over. The money line bet, the parlay, $5 to win 1982, and the cover parlay, $10 to win 25.23. So that's a pretty good payout.
I'll follow yours just because I have a differing opinion on the over under on the Packers Vikings game.
Oh boy.
So I did a five game parlay, just dealing with the over unders on the Vikings Packers, which the Packers arguably have been playing better. We're playing in Green Bay. It's going to be a difficult game. I wouldn't take the Vikings, even on the money line, because I don't know if we're going to win. I think it's going to be a close game. I also think it's going to be under 48.5. So I took Vikings Packers game under 48.5, Bears Lions game over 51.5, Browns Commanders under 40.5, Panthers Bucks over 40.5, Colts Giants over 38.5. $20 bet to win $430.
Weather's going to be pretty good in Green Bay. It's going to be 34 or so and clear.
And yeah, I don't think weather's going to matter. I think both teams are going to be immensely trying to win this game. So I think there's going to be a little more conservative play. So,
All right, Brad.
Well, I started off. I ran two similar tickets. I started off with the Gophers in their game today. I took the Gophers money line on one for a safe bet, and I took them at -5.5. My next game in both of these parlays, I have the Dallas Cowboys Tennessee Titans with the over at 40.5, which kind of scares me.
Right. Tennessee slows down the game. Yeah.
But they've got a new quarterback in. Basically, I just want Dallas to go out and do their thing, put up 30 points, hope that I can get 10 from Tennessee. We'll be good. Then I switch it over to the college semifinal national championship games. I've got the Georgia Bulldogs 7.5, Michigan Wolverines at 9.5. I wanted to actually juice them a little bit more, but I don't think either one of those are going to be good games. I don't think TCU deserves.
Typically aren't. The semifinals haven't been close. I
totally agree with Brad's statement there. I don't think TCU deserves to be in the playoffs.
Oh boy, here we go.
That's a different segment. My final one is I do agree with Anthony. I think there's going to be a ton of points scored. I took the over at 48.5. I also backed it down though and took the over at 41.5. Kind of trying to,
play both sides.
I'll win one. And then on the one where I kind of went conservative, I took the Dallas Stars versus the Minnesota Wild to win in regulation. That bet with the 16 parlay, $10 will get me $378.22. The other bet, that is the 5-team parlay, $10 will get me $228.24. How much time we got left, Tony?
Minute 38.
Okay, so then I did a huge parlay.
Fucking DJ.
You don't have enough time.
Huge. This one is huge. It's a 10-team parlay, all college bowl games. I already nailed the first one. I took Syracuse plus 10.5. Thank God for that last touchdown.
You're already sweating.
I got the Seminoles driving right now. I got them at 9.5. I have the Washington Huskies money line. I have the under in the Maryland North Carolina State game at 48.5. I have the Pittsburgh Panthers at plus 5.5. I have the Notre Dame Fighting Irish at -2.5. I have the Ohio Bobcats beating the Wyoming Cowboys. Excuse me. I have the over in the Tennessee Clemson game at 63.5. I have the over in the Iowa game at 30.5, and I have Georgia minus 6.5. Put $100 on it
Jesus.
to win $38,000.
You are
Jake.
nuts.
Let's go.
You are nuts.
Let's go.
Good luck, buddy.
Holy shit.
Let's go Seminoles. All right, that's our show. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next. We're going to try and do this every week. So see you next week, perhaps at foulplaybyplay.com and at our YouTube channel, Minnesota Foul Play-by-Play.
Love you.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out the over-under on the fucking Vikings game. I'm right on this one.
Okay, we'll see.